Well, hey, good morning, guys. This is Thorzax, and one of the things I wanted to go ahead and continuing on with, is the accessories that you can get for the star unit. Now, this is one of the last of the accessories that you should, look into if you're interested in buying a star. And what that is the automatic bullet feeding. Let me go ahead and turn the lens viewfinder over. Okay, there we go. As you can see, you have a carriage. Okay, this is your return spring. Okay, that's what pulls it back. And then this right here, this lever up here, this contacts this bolt that rides up and down on your press, assembly. It rides up and down on this boss plate. So when it contacts the bottom of this, it causes the carriage to come over and drop the bullet down through the bore. See? It's like that. This is where your feed tube goes in. So anyway, to install it is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You take your punch assembly. Now, one thing that's nice about the star unit is that you don't need a top punch, because the bullets are fed in upside down on the flat part. So you don't have any special fitting or anything like that to the nose of the bullet, just the base of the bullet. The main thing that you want to make sure is that you have the proper size punch for the diameter bullet that you're punching it down through there, because these come in different sizes. This one here is sort of a universal. You can use that on 44, 45, 38, 357. Or you can get one, particularly made for the bigger caliber. So anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and install that. Just like that. You have an adjustment nut, and that nut has a little bit of a shoulder on it, and it goes down in there like that. We'll go up with our ram assembly, and we'll install that. Pretty simple. Like I said, just straightforward. One of the advantages of the star is that there's basically what you do, is that once you're done casting your bullets, all you got to do is just feed them into the machine. I mean, that's it. I mean, feed them down in through the machine and size and lubricate them all. And then once you're done doing that, you pretty much are all set. As far as your being able to load them. So, it does speed up an awful lot. I think the only thing faster than this actually is powder coating. Powder coating does take an awful lot of the tediness of using a machine. But still, I mean, if you want to size your bullets, you're going to have to get a Lee sizing die and basically, do the reverse of this. You have to push them up through the die and into your collection, bin. So anyway, to mount this, you got to align it. You got to align it just like that. You also have this little footing right here that you have to put down. It's a support. Like that. Okay. Then take your mounting screw, put it down through, and this will go right into the heater. The heater is already drilled and tapped to accept this. Just like that. Okay. Now, when I come up with the ram, I'll turn this where you guys can see it. Okay, when I come up with the ram, this bolt will contact the bottom of this, which will cause this lever to come over and deposit the bullet, just like that. See? And then once the bullet drops down in there into the bore, it'll just naturally gravity fed, you know, drop the bullet down in there. Then your punch gun comes down over the top of it and pushes it out. At the same time, this lever right here is a momentary valve, and what happens is that the pressure that is inside the lube reservoir is allowed to flow and go into the die assembly and lubricate the bullets where your lube groove gets filled. And that's it. All you got to do is just go down once with it. That's it. It falls out the bottom. It's sized and lubed, and you can go as fast as you can pull that handle. As you can see, you know, from my other video, you know, demonstrating the collator. The collator. If you're going to get one of these, I'm going to tell you something, guys. The collator completes the whole package. That completes it all right there. You don't have to handle bullets anymore. You don't have to try to feed them into a feed tube, or you don't have to load these magazines with the bullets. You don't have to handle it anymore. You just dump it in, and then your collator turns them upside down. They fall down through into your feed tube, and of course, you know, your feed tube sits on top like that. Make sure that we got it right here. Your feed tube sits on there like that. Then, as the bullet is down there, it goes into the carriage. Got to adjust that a little bit. And over she comes, down she goes. Right down through the bore, and then right out through the bottom. Need a little help there. Huh. So, anyway, I'm all set. All I got to do is go out there to the garage right now and mount 3 mounting screws into the bench, plug it in, turn it on, let it heat up, and I'm ready to go. I can start sizing these 357 bullets, you know. I just need to change the die, and changing the die out is no big deal. You just go ahead and pop it back out of there. They got a puller that comes with a unit, so you can go ahead and thread it all together. One thing that the kit with the automatic bullet feeder, the kit comes with a coupler. This is the coupler assembly, and what this is that this fits over the top of here, so you can have your, you know, plastic feed tube if that's what you choose to use, you know, for feeding. It doesn't make much sense to me. Okay, you're going to be dropping bullets into a feed tube, right? Why not just drop them in here? You know what I'm saying? And then just, boom, just drop them in there by hand, and you're basically doing the same thing. You're feeding the tubes, right? Why not just feed the die instead? And, you know, I mean, you don't even need this if you're going to go at that speed, because you're eventually going to run out of bullets. And then you're going to have to, you know, get more in your feed tube. So it doesn't really save you any time. The collator does. The collator is just amazing. I really thank Harry for that. That's just great. Now, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the advantages of having a machine like this. You know, you can feed powder coated bullets down through this if you want. You know, it isn't going to bother it at all, and you can go ahead and you can just go ahead and size them without any lube, just using this if you want. But this gives you the ability to go ahead and apply lube to the lube groove as well. And so you've got sort of a double coating there. The one thing that I will say about you know, precision shooting that has taught me is that jacketed bullets of any type are always scrutinized. I mean, any of the jacketed, you know, 185 grain or 180 grain, you know, semi-wide cutter 45s, they are scrutinized for their accuracy because of the jacket thickness and also the sizing, also for the load development that you're going to use. I mean, there's so many different aspects to bullseye shooting. Most of your bullseye shooters like, they like plain lead bullets, just like this one. There's no jacket, there's no guesswork, there's no nothing. These are exactly the same as all the rest of these in here. This one here is exactly the same as the rest of them in here. There's no guesswork, there's no jacket, there's no thickness there's no thickness of powder coat that you have to worry about. There's nothing. It just, there it is. You can go through and weigh each and every one of them if you want. I've done that before, and it only varies maybe maybe a grain, a half a grain between these. That's why, heat control is so important, to casting and keeping your heat consistent. You have consistent heat, you have consistent flow, you have consistency in filling of your molds, and then the consistency shows up in the weight of the bullet. So, matter of fact, I got a whole bunch of these. Still need to go through the lube sizer down there in the garage. And as you can see, my bullets, I don't polish them. I don't sit there and wipe them down or anything, make them shiny. These are the way they come right out of the mold. I mean, they just come out of the mold nice and shiny. They don't have that frosted look or anything like that to them, because I don't heat my stuff up that much. I get good flow, and that's it. So, and I figured out where that is, and each furnace is going to be a little different than the other ones. Now, there's also something I want to go ahead and go through as well. When I talked to you earlier about bullseye, okay, you have scoring rings, okay? And those scoring rings, all right, are proportional for the distance that you're going to be firing, okay? So if you're going to fire your bullets at 12.5 yards, which is half the distance of 25 yards, you would expect that this bullseye would be about half the size, and the score rings would be about half the size. But you know what? I don't find that to be the case. This right here is a 50-foot timed and rapid pistol target. This is a 15-yard target, and I'll tell you what, that X-ring is very hard to hit at 15 yards. I mean, this is a very tough target to hit. This is a very tough target to score on. At 15 yards, you got to put all your shots in here. That's it. Every single shot you make. By the way, this is what they shoot at for the Harry Reeves target. This is the Harry Reeves revolver match. This is what they shoot at 15 yards. This is tough. I mean, even though it's only 15 yards, it's super tough. And I found that with the 25 yard, you still have a little bit of, wiggle room, a little bit of waver room there, and still get good hits into the 10 ring. And when it's at 15 yards like this, that also your movement and any of your little, attributes that you have in, one-handed shooting, it has to, you really have to be a heavy holder. You have to improve, how much you wiggle it around and your trigger squeeze and everything. It concentrates everything, even though the target's closer to you, but the target is smaller. It's harder to hit into the rings. So, bullseye is a very, very tough sport. It's a hugely tough sport. I would suggest anybody to go out there and try it. At least try it. Even if you get out there and it's not really turning you on because your results are varying and you're not doing that well or whatever. But go out there and practice it. Practice your timed fire, your rapid fires at 25 yards, and see if you can get any better. At your shooting ability. Training yourself. Trying to control your emotionary drive, to that when somebody, when you make a mistake and you shoot outside the score rings, You know, down, you get a nice solid 5 out there, even though you don't know where that came from. I mean, you don't let that shake you up and screw up the rest of the groups you're going to fire. So, you know, it's really a tough sport to deal with it mentally, because there's a lot of match pressure, but also, you know, perfecting your hold, like I said, you know. I mean, shooting at a 15-yard target, you know, that means that you got half as much movement that you can have in your hand at 15 yards that you would at 25 yards. Does that make sense? You know? It's like in high-power rifle, shooting across the course. There's a lot of people that say, "Oh yeah, man, I'm totally down for a 100-yard, you know, reduced course." You know, because shooting at, you know, 600 yards is intimidating to them. They don't think they're going to do that well. Well, I got news for you, pal. You put that, you know, 600-yard reduced target at, you know, 100 yards, and you've got a tin ring the size of my pinky. You've got to put them all in order to score. I mean, it's that big. Big as my pinky nail. I mean, it's that small. You got to stack them right on top of each other in there. I mean, it's super concentrated, you know. So you have, like, you know, I mean, if you have movement at 600 yards, you have 6 times the concentration of that movement at 100 yards. If that makes any sense. So you've got to really sling in. You've got to have your sling tight, your glove on. You got to have, you know, just, you know, everything all tightened into your arm. You've got to have that in that socket, you know, of your shoulder. You got to be laying in the prone position, and man, you've got to be focused right on the tip of that front sight in order to make those shots. I'm telling you, man, it's tough. Shooting at 100 yards at a 600-yard reduced, man, that's tough. So anyway, this is Dave, and now that I've rambled on, I got totally on a different subject other than the STAR, but that's the reason why I got the STAR. I got the STAR because it's going to make repeated ammunition the same way every time. Not going to have to guess. There it is. Boom. It's done, you know? And that's it. It's going to make the same ammo every time. And that's the key to accuracy. Right there. That's part of the keys to accuracy. You know, having ammunition that you have faith in, that you trust. You know, and getting that is getting consistency. Getting consistency has to do with your casting techniques and your care of your molds and what material you're using, but also the sizing and the lubrication machine that you're using has a lot to do with it. So anyway, this is Thorzak's. I'm going to go ahead and sign out, and until next time, we'll catch you later.